Welcome back to Kat's Kitchen and welcome to another episode of my Dutch Bros Like Kat series. In this series, I'm recreating all of your favorite Dutch Bros drink menu items so you can learn how to make your favorites at home for half the price. If you're not familiar with Dutch Bros, they're a coffee chain on the West Coast and they just have a lot of really fun, creative coffee drink combos. They use Torani syrups at their locations, and if you know anything about Torani, they have tons and tons and tons of flavors. So there's a lot of possibilities for flavor combos that you can recreate, not just for coffees, but for teas, lemonades, energy drinks, sparkling waters, all kinds of different beverages. And today's drink that we're gonna recreate is a Dutch Bros Churro Freeze. This drink is delicious. It's essentially a caramel frappe with a cinnamon sugar soft top or cinnamon sugar cold foam, and then churro bits on top. Heaven, literal heaven. But it's pretty expensive at Dutch Bros, so I'm gonna show you how you can recreate it at home, and then you can enjoy it for yourself or make a bigger batch and share it with your friends and family. So the ingredients you will need to make the Dutch Bros Churro Freeze at home. Number one, not an ingredient, but equipment. You need a blender and then you need a milk frother. As for ingredients, starting with the Torani Caramel Sauce. I like the Torani Caramel Sauce rather than the caramel syrup. I just feel like it shines a little bit more in a frappe blended coffee beverage, but you can totally use the Torani caramel syrup, the salted caramel syrup. They have bourbon caramel syrup, all sorts of different caramel flavored syrups that you can absolutely use if you don't want to use the caramel sauce or you don't have the caramel sauce. I'm using caramel sauce today. Next ingredient is xanthan gum. Xanthan gum is a powder. You can buy it from Amazon or get it in the baking section at the grocery store. And it's just a powder that acts as a binding agent. It binds together the ice and the liquid so that you get a real nice homogeneous blended creamy frappe instead of an icy one. If you don't use xanthan gum, no, it's not the end of the world, but trust me when I say without it, the second you pour your frappe into your cup, it's gonna be like super clumpy, super icy. The ice and the flavor are going to separate. So you're gonna slurp up all of the flavor first and then be stuck with a cup full of ice. We don't want that. We want a nice creamy frappe, great consistency throughout, not just slurping up the flavor, left with a cup of ice. And the xanthan gum will help you achieve that. You just need a 1/4 teaspoon. Very much recommend using xanthan gum for your at-home frappes. Next ingredient is instant coffee. I'm using the Waka medium roast. I like this one. I like the flavor of it. These come in little packets, but you can totally use like the Cafe Bustelo instant coffee or instant espresso. You can use Nescafe. Starbucks has one, blue coffee. Whatever instant coffee you like. I like using instant coffee instead of brewed coffee or brewed espresso in frappes. Usually if you're using brewed espresso, it's hot, it's gonna melt the drink, melt the ice, not as good of an experience. I noticed that with liquid coffee, it just waters down the frappe a little bit more. So when you have instant coffee, you're just getting all coffee flavor, no liquid, not watering anything down. You get the really strong, delicious coffee flavor. So I like using instant, whatever brand. Use whatever brand that you like. Next up is ice. And then you also need milk in the frappe portion. That's everything that's gonna get blended. And then for the cinnamon sugar cold foam or soft top, you need the Torani Cinnamon Syrup. You can find this on Amazon, maybe World Market, for sure, the Torani website. If you don't wanna use a syrup, you can totally use regular ground cinnamon and some sugar, or I would recommend using ground cinnamon with vanilla syrup. Vanilla syrup with a little bit of ground cinnamon will be perfect. But if you can get the cinnamon syrup, this is what Dutch Bros uses. Then you need a little bit of milk and a little bit of heavy whipping cream. And then the last ingredient, Dutch Bros has churro pieces or churro bits. I have these turtle chips that are just delicious and they're in churro flavor. I think they're just a perfect addition on top. Oh my gosh, I'm salivating just thinking about how good these are. They look like really large Cocoa Pebble pieces. They're so good, okay? If you haven't tried these, oh my gosh, you're missing out because they're the bomb. Turtle chips. You can find these at H Mart, which is a Korean grocery store. Korean convenience stores have them. I would recommend looking at an Asian or international grocery store. And then I've also seen them at World Market. If you have a World Market near you, turtle chips, specifically in the churro flavor. I'm just gonna crush 1 or 2 of these up and sprinkle them on top for the churro bit. If you can't find the turtle chips, totally fine. You can use there's like a Cinnamon Toast Crunch little powder mix that you can buy from the grocery store. I've seen it at Walmart, Target. That's another good option. It's gonna give you that churro flavor with a little bit of extra texture. So those would be my 2 options for the churro bits. Let's get into the recipe so we can enjoy a delicious at-home Dutch Bros Churro Freeze. I'm doing 8 to 10 ounces of milk. Then I like to add in the xanthan gum, and I do just an itty bitty amount, like a quarter of a teaspoon. Quarter of a teaspoon, not quarter of a tablespoon, just itty bitty amount. This is going to thicken that frappe and give it a really creamy texture. Then 1 to 2 tablespoons of the Torani Caramel Sauce or caramel syrup or salted caramel syrup. Whichever you have on hand, whichever you can find, or whichever you prefer. That's gonna be the sweetness and flavor of the frappe. Then my instant coffee. Again, this is the Waka Waka. Adding in the whole packet. If you're using like a jar like this where it's powder and not packets, I would use about half a tablespoon of this if you have the jar without the packets. And the last thing we add to this is ice. About a cup and a half of ice. Add the lid and let's go blend this baby up. All right, frappe is blended. I like a nice fluffy frappe, so I blend for like a minute, push in a minute and a half. If you don't like it that fluffy and airy, blend for less time, 30, 40 seconds. Looking good. And I'm actually gonna set that aside, momentarily while we make our cold foam. Things you'll need for the cold foam: milk, cinnamon syrup, and heavy cream. And I usually do a 1-to-3 ratio. 1 tablespoon of this, 2 tablespoons of this, 3 tablespoons of this. But the Dutch Bros soft top is like a little bit thinner than like a Starbucks cold foam. So I'm gonna do a 1-to-2 ratio. 2 tablespoons of each of these and 1 of the cinnamon syrup. 1 tablespoon of the cinnamon syrup going in. Again, use vanilla syrup and cinnamon. You can use sugar and cinnamon. 2 tablespoons of milk. My dad makes fun of the way I say milk. Milk? I say it right, right? And 2 tablespoons of heavy cream. The heavy cream is what's gonna give this mixture like that thickness, the cold foaminess, the soft toppiness. If you're just using half and half, it's not gonna work out. Using heavy cream and milk is not the same as just using half and half, even though technically they're the same thing. Half and half just does not have a high enough fat content. Trust me, I've tried. It'll froth, but it won't stay frothy. You need heavy cream. If you are dairy-free, you can totally use 1 tablespoon of the cinnamon syrup. Instead of regular milk, use oat milk. I like the Chobani Extra Creamy or the Barista Oatly, the Oatly Barista Edition. Those are my 2 faves. And then instead of heavy whipping cream, opt for coconut whipping cream. They sell it at the grocery store or on Amazon. I'll link it in the description below, but it's not like one or the other, oat milk or coconut whipping cream. You gotta use them both together to, again, create that thick, creamy, soft top that will stay on top of your drink. And I even mentioned I'm frothing this with the handheld milk frother. This one is by Bonson Kitchen. I get it from Amazon. It really just is the best. I've had this one for years. You just change the batteries when they die, and it gives you the thickest, best at-home cold foam there ever was. And the final step is to get some of your anger out. I'm gonna just do a couple of these turtle chips, add them to a bag. Oh, smackaroni. I guess we're doing, what is that, 5? I'm not mad about it. And just, smush them. Get them all crumbly. Nice and crumbly. Perfecto. Just like that. Now we have all 3 components of our Churro Freeze. We have our caramel blended coffee, our cinnamon soft top, and churro bits. Adding in the frappe to my Dutch Bros cup. This cup is from Dutch Bros. People ask me all the time, where'd you get your Dutch Bros cup? Dutch Bros. I just wash and reuse them after I go to Dutch Bros, so then I can create content with them. Churro free or caramel freeze. Did I leave enough room? No, I didn't. Cool. We're gonna do a taste test of the freeze first. OMG, the Waka instant coffee, delightful. Now we can add in the soft top. And look how thick that is. It's a thick boy. I use lactose-free milk, so that does change the texture just ever so slightly, but not a big deal. And then top in with those churro bits. Oh my gosh. Oh my word. Oh my gosh, that looks just absolutely phenomenal. Holy Moses. Hello, beautiful. Oh wow. Like, I would expect Dutch Bros to hand you this, right? Like, they're like, here's your drink, cat. I'd be like, oh my gosh, thanks. Nailed it. That is just, it's so beautiful. Oh, she's so beautiful. I think we're gonna do a taste test with all the layers. Whoa, baby. That is so good. And I love the churro bits on top. Anytime I can have those turtle chips, it's a good day. But there you have it. Dutch Bros Churro Freeze, my copycat version. Half the price. It was so fun to make. You can make these for your whole family. And if you're spending too much money at Dutch Bros on this drink, stop it. Stop. Seriously, stop. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you give this recipe a try, let me know what you think. And I will see you in the next video. Mwah! God blast.